Okay, I was fighting for my life on that last one. Oh my God. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Katie, and for those of you who don't know me, I used to weigh 360 pounds, and I've lost 180 pounds and kept it off for years now. And on this channel, we will discuss weight loss, weight maintenance, nonsense I see online about body positivity and fat acceptance, my experiences with all of that, and well, anything else I feel like talking about. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, and let's get into today's video. So today I have several TikToks from 2 new friends to the channel, as well as checking back in with a couple of old friends. So why don't we just dive right in and I'll give you my reactions along the way. Hi, Editing Katie here. This video ended up much longer than I anticipated, so I ended up breaking it up into 2 parts, and this is part 2. So that is the last of our clips with our first new friend, so let's go ahead and check in with our second new friend. Her name is Chloe, and she has these thoughts on fat being an act of resistance.
I genuinely believe that in this glorious year of 2025, it is borderline radical and at the very least, an embodied political statement to be fat, chubby, plus-sized, curvaceous, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, friend, do tell.
Now, of course, I recognize that most people that are fat, they're not doing that with intention or purpose. They simply are. In the same way that I have brown hair, they are fat.
But that's not accurate. They might not be doing it intentionally or with purpose, but they are doing it habitually. That is their routine that allows them to become that size. I know, because I understand what my routine had to be at 360 pounds, and I understand what my routine looks like now at 180 pounds. It's vastly different. And my makeup, my genetics, my heredity, none of that changed. None of it at all. But my habits absolutely did. My lifestyle has completely changed. And so, at least from my experience, it's not just something that is and just exists. It's something that is a result of your habits and your routines or your lifestyle. Just like even her brown hair. That is a series of decisions. She has the opportunity, if she wants to dye her hair. She could change it any color she wishes. She could wear wigs. She could shave her head. The fact that she has brown hair, that is a choice that she has made. Now, I understand she can't change how it grows out of her head, but she still brushes it, styles it, and takes care of it, right? So I understand that there are things that just are. Yes, we all have bodies, but how we take care of it is going to be reflected in how other people see it. Same with our hair. If I don't wash my hair or brush my hair, yeah, it's still going to be red coming out of my head, but how I choose to present it is a series of decisions. Always. So this idea that, well, they just exist because they must be naturally fat, at least from my experience, that is just not the case. Not even close. You can be naturally short, you can be naturally tall, sure. You can't really change your height, last I checked. I mean, you can wear heels and stuff, but your weight, you very much do have the ability to change. It's not easy, it takes a long time, but there are ways to do so. And ways to do so that aren't detrimental to anyone's health. Ways that actually aren't that difficult. They just take a long time to see them through, quite frankly. But let's see if she explains this further.
They simply exist in their bodies as anyone else does. And I know people are going to be like, okay, Chloe, you need to log off Twitter. This is not a crazy thing to say, especially with the influx of pro-Anna, pro-ED, you must be skinny, you must be thin content, media, narratives that are being shoved down our throat within our culture right now in 2025.
Does she have examples? Just like our first new friend. Does she have examples? Because that could be most helpful right now. Because I know for myself, I'm not seeing this personally. Now, what I do think that indicates more than anything is how individualized all of our media has become. We have an algorithm for everything. Absolutely every platform we are on has an algorithm and is going to feed you what they think is going to draw your attention. I'm not coming across this in my algorithms. I didn't come across people using the chubby filter to make fun of fat people. I'm not coming across pro-ED or pro-Anna stuff. I know that it exists, but I'm not seeking it out. So I'm not seeing the influx personally. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. So when I hear people speak about these universals, all it does is further indicate to me that everybody's algorithm is showing them something differently at this point. Because again, I have not seen the influx of it. I do see a lot of people complaining about the rise of this, so I do think that there is something to that. But this notion that it's some universal experience that everyone is going through and then not give any examples when we all have different algorithms, I'm personally not seeing this. And again, I know that doesn't mean it's not happening or something, but I am personally not seeing that in any of my feeds across any social media. I have noticed some changes to my algorithms, absolutely, but the biggest change I've noticed has actually been on Twitter and how far to the right it has lurched. They will literally allow open Yahtzees on there now. They're not even hiding it anymore. They've gone full mask off, hood on, whatever you want to call it. That's the one I have noticed more than any. And that, again, could just be me. Other people might not be running into that issue, but this is where it all gets sticky when we're talking about what is coming across our media. Because when we're talking about social media, all of it is going to be personalized and individualized to the user. So I'm not saying these things don't happen, but I just really wish she would have given us an example in this case.
If I go on my Instagram Explore page on an account that I use frequently, where I want to look at memes and stuff about movies and stuff that I genuinely enjoy, my Explore page, no matter what I do, is full of people that I will never look like. And if
people she will never look like, I have to assume she is talking weight-wise, because otherwise, why would that be a problem? I follow lots of people that don't look like me. Lots. People that are taller than me, shorter than me, all sorts of different skin colors, backgrounds, ethnicities. I follow lots of different people. I thought that's what we were supposed to do, was have diversity of thought and representation, right? So the fact that I'm coming across people that don't look like me means I am getting diversity, right? I have to assume she means about weight. I really, truly do. And again, what difference does that make? I see lots of people that I will never look like, but does that mean that I shouldn't see them or they don't have the right to post their content? I'm really confused by that statement. Even taking it at the face value of, I hope she's talking about weight. I'm still really confused by that statement because I thought we were supposed to keep open minds and follow people that didn't look like us.
It's the same thing on the accounts that I don't use. The idea of being thin is being sold to all of us in one way or another.
And it always has been. This idea that thin is in is back, it makes me always wonder, when did it ever go away? And I've mentioned this before, and I feel like this is pretty applicable right here. But when they're talking about previous times or seeing the progression of these movements and how we talk about ourselves or talk about weight and all of these things, does she think that we didn't have people talking about these things or advertisements all over the place, or just all of this always being a part of our culture? Because is she thinking of the halcyon days of the 1980s? Because let's go ahead and take a look back at a commercial break during the 1980s.
Losing weight. It's become a national obsession. Over 40 million Americans went on a diet last year. The problem was they usually didn't stay on it. Well, now the makers of Contact introduce Dietac, a remarkable timed-release capsule that helps you lose weight by helping you stick to your diet. One Dietac capsule helps you control your appetite all day, so you eat less. New Dietac from the makers of Contact. It gives your diet a fighting chance.
Look at me. I've lost it. I feel great. I feel thin.
Colleen Kieselhorst has lost weight on the Control diet plan. Control works, and without stimulant.
helped me eat less so that I lost weight. It doesn't have any stimulants in it. That was one of the reasons I took it.
Control capsules contain no stimulant, only the strongest, most effective appetite suppressant available without prescription.
And I couldn't be more pleased. I've lost the weight I wanted to lose.
Want to lose weight without stimulant? Take Control.
Dear Sirs, your product is great. It helped me lose the weight I couldn't lose before.
With Dexatrim, I lost all the weight I wanted to lose without feeling hungry.
People are writing us about the Dexatrim diet plan, a remarkable time-release way to lose weight. Just one capsule can help curb your appetite during meals and in between for up to 12 full hours.
Thanks to Dexatrim, I've lost weight, and I feel better about myself.
Proven effective in 7 years of clinical testing. Try Dexatrim, the time-release way to lose weight.
I was overweight and looked terrible, but AIDS helped me lose 46 pounds.
The AIDS diet plan helped me lose 28 pounds.
AIDS helps control your appetite so you lose weight, yet AIDS lets you taste, chew, and enjoy. And the appetite suppressant in AIDS is not a stimulant.
AIDS helped me to lose 18 pounds, and it doesn't contain anything to make me nervous.
Question: why take diet pills when you can enjoy AIDS? AIDS helps you lose weight without making you jittery.
Okay, I was fighting for my life on that last one. Oh my God. Okay, so legitimately, I saw every single one of those commercials, except for that AIDS one, when I was a kid. Or at the very least, I saw very similar ones for those same exact diet pills. Every single commercial break, pretty much every show you watched, every network you watched, any time of the day you watched. And that's not even including Slim Fast, Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, Special K, any other things that were marketed for diet and weight loss as well. It was everywhere. And so this idea that there's this massive influx and this is just everywhere, it really does make me feel like these influencers are only thinking about the last 5 or maybe 10 years, and they have no clue at all about any time previously to this, because my goodness, it was rampant through the 80s and the 90s. It was everywhere. And at least now when we have the commercials for Wegovy or Ozempic or whatever, they at least give you all the side effects, even if we don't want to hear them and they sound really unpleasant. They at least tell you that. They don't just hype it up and go, oh wow, it's wonderful. That was pretty much every commercial in the 80s. They never told you the reality of it, just how great it was, right? So I can definitely see how far we have come in my lifetime. So when I hear people talk about how there is a sudden shift, it feels more like a course correction to me, quite frankly. I feel like body positivity did make a lot of progress in the 2010s for a lot of people. And just like every trend out there, eventually it's not as popular and then another trend will take its place.
And so I say that being fat, for example, is an embodied political statement because you are living resistance against the culture, against this idea that to be valued, to be beautiful, to be seen, to be treated like a normal human being, you must look a certain way.
Okay, and that is not at all why I lost weight, nor anyone I have ever known who has lost weight. That's not why they did it. Because this always conveniently sidesteps the health complications that come along with it. All of it, always focused on social. And I get it, yeah, we shouldn't be mean to people and we shouldn't be jerks to each other. I get that. I really, truly do. But if this is such an emboldened political stance, why doesn't our friend jump on board? Oh, I bet you she's going to try to claim she's naturally thin and she just can't put on weight, right? Let's be real. If this were that important and so wonderful that everyone should do it, then wouldn't this be a lot more impactful if she, I don't know, put on 50 pounds and then made this video and said, I did this as an act of resistance, not saying, hey, you should do the act of resistance. I'm going to go ahead and stay thin over here. Because at least personally, hearing this come from a thin woman, it just makes me feel like, well, if it's so great, then why don't you do it? Why do you want me to do it? Why do you want anyone else to do it? If it's so great, why don't you do it?
I also want to remind people that your body keeps the score. If you are losing weight in a way that is unhealthy and unnatural to you, it's not just your body itself that is going to suffer, but your brain, your mind, your mental health, your ability to function as a person, as a friend, as a loved one. And I emphasize.
Okay, so she says your body keeps score, so I'm wondering what my score would have been like at 360 pounds. Oh, that's right, I already know. I had prediabetes. I had symptomatic untreated PCOS. I had hypertension. I had given myself obesity-induced asthma. I could no longer bend over to tie my own shoes. I was having trouble fitting behind the steering wheel of my own car. I could no longer walk to go get the mail. I was out of breath, literally walking more than 5 steps around my house. What kind of score is that? It sounds like a pretty negative score to me. Actually, not a great score. Certainly not getting any high scores. So your body keeps score, but only if you lose weight. Body isn't keeping score if you're morbidly obese. And look, I think there could be some validity to some of the things she's saying. If her message were targeted to women her size, that, yeah, you probably don't need to lose any more weight. Or that if you're trying to do things that are unnatural or unhealthy for your body, it's not a good thing. Absolutely. But I will say this, a slight caloric deficit, which is how I lost 180 pounds, that's not that. That is not unnatural. It's not unhealthy. It was me evening the score. And that's what it can be for anybody who has weight to lose. If you wish to lose weight in the proper fashion, aka slow and steady wins the race and don't do any extremes, there's a real good chance you're going to up your score. You want to talk about your body keeping score? My body is much happier and healthier at 180 pounds than it ever was at 360.
And I emphasize this last point because when you convince women that they have to lose weight, that doesn't just impact their self-esteem. When you tell them that they have to take up less space, they literally do take up less space.
And that was the whole point of me losing weight. I wished to take up less space because I was taking up an exorbitant amount of space at 360 pounds. I, again, was having trouble fitting behind the steering wheel of my own car. So I, for safety reasons, needed to take up less space because if I'd gotten into a car wreck, I was always concerned that the steering wheel was literally going to cause massive damage to me. So taking up less space in my case was actually the goal. I'm sure that's not what she meant, but there's a huge difference between telling this to someone who has maybe 5 or 10 pounds they might want to lose, or they don't even have any weight truly to lose. There's a big difference between telling someone in that camp that versus telling someone like myself when I was 360 pounds these things. Because, yeah, there's a huge difference.
And what do I mean by that? It won't just make your body and mind weaker. It'll make you weaker as a whole. It'll prevent you from reaching your fullest potential. It'll keep you still. It will demobilize you. It will make you more vulnerable.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to reiterate. That might be the case if you're talking to someone who doesn't have any weight to lose. But when I was 360 pounds, I literally lost mobility. Could not tie my own shoes any longer. Making yourself smaller will take away your mobility? No, getting too large does. Getting too large can take away your ability to wipe your own ass. We heard all about that at the beginning of last year. And then the idea, oh, it's going to make you weaker. I am stronger now than I ever was at 360 pounds. My kids are now 10 and about to be 9. And they're just under 100 pounds. They're about 5 feet tall, just under 100 pounds. I can still lift my children. No problem. Well, slightly more problem than used to be. But I can still lift them. I can pick them up in and out of the pool. I can carry them up and down the stairs if I need to. I can throw them up over my shoulder, give them piggyback rides, any of those things. I am way stronger now than I ever was at 360 pounds. I'm not going to reach my full potential. Ain't no way in hell I could have ever done any of this at 360 pounds. There's no way in hell I would have had the endurance to do it. No way. I was not in great shape at all. As a matter of fact, I've said it plenty of times, I don't know if I would still be here right now at 41 if I hadn't taken matters into my own hand when I was 25 going on 26. I just don't know if I would. So this idea that you're going to become weaker, that you're going to become weaker mentally, that you're going to become like immobile, all of these things. No. I had that happen on the opposite end of the spectrum. I didn't have that from losing weight. I had that from gaining weight. And again, I understand if we are talking about someone who is underweight or already at a healthy weight and they have no weight to lose, this could be a helpful message to them. But there are a lot of people on the opposite end of the spectrum that this is not the message at all they need to hear.
You can only focus on your own vanity and you're malnourished. You can't really do much to defend yourself, can you?
Someone who has lost weight is not inherently malnourished, and trying to make that connection incredibly tenuous. Again, if we are talking about someone who is already thin, then yes, I could understand the validity to this. But she's talking about staying fat as an act of rebellion. So that's not going to be someone who is already thin. She's talking about staying fat. And that somehow if you lose weight, now you're going to become weak mentally, weak physically, you're going to become immobile, you're going to be malnourished, you're going to only be obsessed with your vanity, right? I understand that going to any extreme is terrible. That me being 360 pounds was not great at all. And that if I don't know, would have lost too much weight, that would not have been good at all either. If I would have gotten down to, 115 pounds. I'm 5'9" just for reference. So say I got down to 115 pounds. That would not be great either, because extremes are not great. Either way, we have to find a healthy balance somewhere in the middle. There has to be a happy medium. That's why they give you a healthy weight range. They don't tell you you can only be this weight and be healthy. I know that for my height, it's like 30 or 35 pounds for the healthy weight range. So no one's out here saying at all, you have to be this specific weight. Even through BMI and doctors and health advice and everything that you can find online, there's always a range. So this idea that you're going to be malnourished, you're going to be weak, you're going to be all of these things, it does not at all line up with my lived experience. It's in many cases the exact opposite. And I'm blown away that people can be so confident saying these things, especially if they don't have the experience with this. I mean, genuinely curious, has our friend ever been 360 pounds or anywhere close to it? Because who am I kidding? I already know she hasn't been, just based off of how she's talking about all this.
And just another reminder, there's a reason why anorexia is the most fatal mental illness. You should strive to be healthy and strong. And yes, there are plenty of women that are naturally thin. I know that. But if that's not the case for you, don't harm yourself trying to look like that. Whip out.
Okay, people are not naturally thin or naturally fat. People's bodies reflect their lifestyle. And if you tell me, oh, but my family's always been thin, or my family's always been overweight, I'm going to counter and say, I bet you your family shares a lot more habits than you realize. I can't tell you how many things I picked up from just being around my family over the years. And I don't even think about it sometimes. Like, I'll just hear my mom straight out come out of my mouth, or I hear my dad come out in terrible jokes sometimes. I didn't even mean to. It just rubbed off on me, right? So this idea that people are either naturally thin or naturally fat, I just don't buy it. Because what happens then to people that do go through massive transformations, that put on 200 pounds and then lose 200 pounds? Were they naturally fat or were they naturally thin? Was I naturally supposed to be 360 pounds? Or am I naturally supposed to be 180? And if so, if I'm supposed to naturally be 180, how on earth did I get to 360? This all goes back to set point theory and how it's bullshit. Because again, it completely ignores the idea that our actions have consequences. Okay, so one example I can think of off the top of my head. Okay, my father-in-law, he is very tall, very, very thin, and has always been thin his whole life. One of his nicknames for many decades now has been Skeletor. That's how thin he is. He recently retired, and he has always had a fairly active job. And I even told my husband, right when he retired, I was like, you watch, your dad's going to put on a little bit of weight. Just a little bit. It's been a little over a year now, and yeah, he has. So even then, he wasn't naturally thin, even after being that size for decades in his life. It was his habits and his routines and his lifestyle. And once there was a change to that, he saw a change in his weight.
Whip out your woke card. Stay fat, princess.
And again, she's encouraging others to stay fat, so why doesn't she get fat? Why doesn't she put on weight and tell everyone how wonderful it is to be so rebellious to the patriarchy or whatever emboldened political statement she wants to make? If she wants to, I mean, she could shave her head. That serves the same purpose, right? But how shitty would it be for me to turn around and tell everyone, hey, you should shave your head, you should shave your head, you should shave your head, and then I don't? Is that not the same difference as telling people, you should stay fat, you should stay fat, you should stay fat? I am going to stay thin because I'm just naturally thin. That's the vibe I just got from that. So if it's such a bold thing, if it's so revolutionary, if it's so wonderful to make this political statement, personally, I think it might have a lot more impact if she would practice what she preaches. But let's go ahead and check in with another old friend of ours, one that we haven't seen in quite a while. Let's go ahead and check in with FierceFatFemme and see what she's been up to.
It's wild to me that fat people will continue to talk about fat liberation and everybody shits on them.
There's a big difference between shitting on a person versus shitting on an idea, and I hope our friend understands that. People disagreeing with you isn't shitting on you, it's disagreeing with your idea.
And a thin white person says something and people are like, you know what? Yes. And here's the thing. I love that other than people are talking about fat liberation. We all will be liberated if we get rid of fat phobia and anti-fatness.
Okay, and what does our friend mean by fat phobia? Because again, I have heard fat phobia be labeled as losing weight, wanting to lose weight, counting calories, going on a diet, reading nutrition labels, exercising, just generally being worried about your health in any fashion. I've heard all of these things be labeled as fat phobic. From fat acceptance themselves, I have heard the following things be labeled as fat phobic. Weighing yourself.
This comment was made in response to my video explaining how to decline being weighed at the doctor's office, and the answer is because of fat phobia.
Before and after pictures.
Before and after weight loss videos are fat phobic.
Losing weight.
If you are intentionally losing weight, it is fat phobic.
Going to a gym. Working out.
So yes, if you work out strictly for appearance-based reasons, you are fat phobic.
Counting calories.
If you ever even look at nutrition labels, you have an eating disorder. Why would you want to know what you're putting in your body? Just go to the store and buy whatever looks good.
Following a meal plan.
I'm fat phobic, apparently. Simply because in the last video I said, hey, you don't have to finish everything on your plate if you're full.
I mean, I have heard all of those things be labeled as fat phobic. So does our friend think that we're all going to be liberated if we eliminate weight loss? Does our friend think we're all going to be liberated if we eliminate going to the gym or exercise? Because that doesn't sound liberating to me at all. What sounded really liberating to me was losing 180 pounds and regaining my mobility, getting a lot stronger, becoming a lot stronger mentally. All of those things sound a lot more like liberation to me than fat liberation.
And I want everyone to have the same love and respect and care for the fat people screaming this and that have been screaming this for decades now as they do when thin folks say it as well.
Okay, so the fat acceptance community that has told people they are fat phobic for losing weight, or if you lose weight, you're dead to us, or if you lose weight, we're just going to ignore you and talk shit about you. And I mean, I think it's really rich that they're going to talk about respect. When I have watched this community be so incredibly disrespectful, especially to those of us who have left it, especially to those of us who have lost weight, and those of us who now speak out against it. They are so incredibly disrespectful. They don't even attempt to hide it. Just like our first new friend who was over here proudly proclaiming how much she wanted to bully people because she was bullied. It's that same mentality over and over again where they at one point felt like a victim and now they think it's okay to be a bully. And I just find it very rich and ironic that this group or anybody within it would ever try to lecture someone about respect.
And I know why people listen more to thin people who talk about anti-fatness. It's because when we see somebody talking about something that matters to them, or that like talking about a group that they belong to, we immediately discredit them because we believe that they're too close to the subject. This is an important reminder to...
Wait, that's a thing? That's actually a thing? They're going to discredit the people that are closest to it? Like, legitimately? What? That's not at all how I operate. I mean, when I wanted to know more about engineering, I didn't go discredit my engineering professors in college. I went and sought out the people in the field. If I want to know more about baseball, I go and I talk to people who know about baseball. People that maybe coached or played and have some experience and knowledge about it. I mean, yes, I'll talk to anybody about baseball, truthfully. But, I mean, if I want to know more and learn more, I have to go speak to somebody who actually has the experience and the knowledge. So that seems completely backwards to me. I don't know. Maybe that's just the awe and the ADHD for me. I don't know, because that sounds really, really backwards to me.
Know that being close to the subject means that lived experience and lived realities are showcasing how horrible the situation is. So listen to lived experience just as much as you listen to statistics, data analysis, and other things from other folks that you believe are more credited in the space.
So is that our friend's way of saying she would listen to me? Because I have the lived experience. How about any of us in this space who have lost weight and then left these movements, or left these movements and then lost weight? Is that her way of saying she would listen to us? Because we have the experience. We have the living experience. Oh, wait, no. They never listen to us in Fat Acceptance. As a matter of fact, they tell us all the ways that they don't ever want to hear from us. Remember, you're dead to me? Yeah, I know that wasn't this friend. But that does seem to be the general sentiment from Fat Acceptance to those of us that have lost weight. They don't want to hear anything about it. Is it because we're too close to the subject matter and we know too much? Nope, can't possibly be that. It's legitimately that we poke holes in all of their arguments and they don't like it. That's what it really is. And so when they have a thin white person come along and say all the things that they have always been saying, you could tell she wanted to resent that, quite frankly, because people are listening to the thin person over her. But she can't do that because then that discredits her whole movement. She needs allies on board. She needs allies to help prop up this cause because too many of us that were once a part of it have now left. And they don't ever want to hear about our lived experiences at all. And I mean, quite frankly, I've got experiences on both sides. And they just do not want to hear it in Fat Acceptance. So there we have it. We caught back up with a couple of old friends, made a couple of new friends, and caught up on all of the nonsense. Who am I kidding? Some of the nonsense on TikTok this last week. So let me know down below, what do you think? I'm genuinely curious and I love reading all of your responses. That is where we will leave things today. I thank you so much for joining me. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I will catch you on the next one. Bye! Hi, Pokey. Are you excited that baseball's back? Yeah? So excited, aren't you? You ready for 162 games? Because I know Mommy is. Hopefully more than 162 games, actually. I'd like to win the last game of the season. That'd be nice. Just, once in my life. Okay, you ready? We can say bye?